Hello, I'm Mark Aiston and welcome to Gift of Hope, a series of interviews that focuses on people who are or have been battling tough times, addiction, physical illness, mental health. And whilst these stories are raw and uncomfortable to watch and listen to, they all offer hope to those going through similar fights. My partner for this interview is the Hayter Clinic, which is where I stayed for 2 months as I battled addiction and mental health issues. The Hayter Clinic offers short and long-term programs and is fully accredited with the Department of Health and is based in Victoria with facilities in Geelong and Essendon. Way back in September of 1984, David Payne, who was just 19 years of age at the time, was on a high. He was one of the heroes for the Redlegs during Norwood's dramatic victory against league powerhouse Port Aderlaide in the SANFL Grand Final at Football Park. But like so many, his journey was to take a dramatic turn for the worst. 35 years ago, David received his rush from the crowd, his teammates and coaches, and his insatiable addiction to winning. But his desire for satisfaction would change during the following years, a desire that almost killed him. David, thanks for chatting to us.
No problems, mate.
Good to talk to you. Good to see you looking so well.
Yeah, great. Yeah, feel great at the moment, yeah.
How does it make you feel when we both had a look at those two teams, Port Aderlaide and Norwood, prior to the 84 Grand Final?
Takes you back, doesn't it? It's a long time ago. Yeah, it was very exciting times those days. 84 was a fantastic year for the Norwood Football Club, that's for sure.
Can you remember the game? Can you remember being part of the premiership?
Oh, yeah, most certainly. There's bits and pieces that you remember. There's bits and pieces you forget. But if you've got the video home, yeah, you can sort of relive it in a way. Yeah,
that was your life, wasn't it? Footy was really.
At the beginning of 84, I had no aspirations in words of I didn't think I could possibly play league football, but I think performance in the 19s and then a little bit later in the reserves forced someone to obviously put me in the team, and I took that chance, and obviously it succeeded that year. So.
You were really committed to your fitness. You're still very well known around town, obviously, particularly in those days when you were playing at that highest level. How important was it for you in those days to win?
Well, you had to perform to win. So if you'd play a game and you were below par, and half a dozen of your teammates are on the same page, not playing well that day, getting beaten by a better player on the day. Obviously, the result was obviously a negative win, but you would go out every Saturday, pumped to win, no matter who you played. Yeah, for sure.
It was a long time ago.
Yeah, a long time ago, but you don't forget.
No, you
don't forget. Obviously, you don't forget some of the memories that some of the good games, I remember some of the bad games as well. So, yeah.
There were some wonderful memories for you back in those days. And as I said, you were 19 when you played in that grand final, and I think there were 50-odd thousand people at Football Park. I mean, the atmosphere would have been fantastic. It was a great time for you, great time for the club. But things have changed, or things changed a little later on in your life, particularly as you started to reach your 40s. Why did things change for you?
I can't put a definite finger on why things changed for me. I know that being involved in a sporting environment, there's commitment, dedication. There's your adrenaline, and I think
you're on a high.
Yeah, you're on a high
constantly.
of being constantly doing something, trying to achieve something, trying to better yourself, and I think that constant adrenaline that you would put into your body as you got older, that there was less adrenaline that was, that you noticed. And I think we would look for some sort of adrenaline to try and get us back to how we used to feel when we were playing, because they were pretty rewarding days in regards to, you might not win all the time, but you might lose. But they were still, you're on a high for most of that period of time.
In a way, you're sort of famous within that community.
If you want to put it like that, I don't think we ever took that. We didn't take it to another level. I think that's just what came with it. It just came along with it. We didn't initiate any of that. That was done by the press and the media.
You just accepted it.
We just accepted it and went along with it. Many times people would ask you for interviews or they'd take photos. Well, you did it because it was just the thing to do. So you went along with that, and of course, obviously everything goes along with it. So,
what happened at 40?
I just think that the adrenaline, and I was looking for something different, and I'd always drunk, and drank reasonably well up until mid to late 30s and early 40s. But I diverted back looking for that adrenaline and looking for that feeling, and I think you find that alcohol made me feel like it made me feel better. It subconsciously made me feel better.
Was it a gradual thing?
Yeah, it was gradual. Yeah, it was gradual.
And were you aware of what was happening? Where this was going to end?
No. You had no idea where it was going to end. No, it was a gradual thing. There was drinking through the footy days, through the Saturday nights, and obviously weeks off, and the end of season trips, and the boys stuff, and going to the cricket, and it was part of a culture. A lot of people in a way that if you didn't do it, you weren't part of the gang, if that made sense. So that culture, and then once being out of that culture, I felt a bit lost, and replaced it with the drinking. And
you were married at the time?
Married, yeah. With my wife Lisa, yes.
And with 3 kids at that point?
I had my first child, I think about 30, so 30, 29, 30.
So you had a family?
Family. I was coaching at the time, amateur league.
Yeah.
And had several amateur league coaching positions. Coached some juniors and so on and so forth. So I was still involved in footy, but was still around that culture, because that even at amateur league level, the clubs would all go back to the club and you'd have a few beers and and so on and so forth. So there was a culture that I was involved in that it's not specifically designed to encourage drinking, but it's there.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's in your face.
It's in your face.
Yeah. So things started to spiral at the age of 40. Was it after that? Was it fairly brisk? Was it fairly quick?
It was constant.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say overly quick, but there'd be times where you'd binge. You might get off it for a couple of days and then go back on a binge. Still working, by the way.
Still functioning.
Still going to work, still not taking sickies or anything like that. Still committed, yeah.
Putting on an act?
I wouldn't call it an act. You were still working to your best of your ability.
Yeah, but my point is, hiding.
You were hiding the fact that there was some possible issues that were there, yes.
Were you hiding those possible issues from your wife?
Yes. Most certainly.
And your kids? I know they were young.
Most certainly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how did that make you feel?
At the time, there are no thoughts of regret, or because you're in a state of mind that is you're not forgiving. You're in a state of mind that's I'm all right. Everything's going okay. This is normal. This is okay. People do it.
How many times did you lose your licence?
Twice. Yep.
So thinking back now, and I know the philosophy, because you're clean now, is not to look back, I guess, unless you're doing something like this.
Yep. Yep.
Thinking back, how horrendous was that for you?
Oh, it was devastating.
For your wife, for your kids, for your friends?
Yeah, it was. I'll be all right, Jack. I'll be okay. I'll get through this. That's fine.
That's how you felt at the time?
Most certainly. I'll get through this. Oh, yeah, I'll bug it up.
But how do you feel about it now when you think back?
Yeah, regretful that it ever happened, but I can't do anything about the past. I've got to move forward. So those things have happened. I regret that they happened. I'm sorry that they happened, and for the grief that it's caused those people that were around me at the time, or friends, family. They've all been addressed in way of letters and apologies and so on and so forth. Obviously, as we'll talk about later, that it affects the way you operate as a human being. So those aspects, I believe that for that 10 or 12, 14, whatever, how many years, those you become not the real you, which is not the way that should be.
I know that was a fair time ago, but can you remember, obviously not in absolute detail and word for word, but can you remember the conversation you would have had with your wife after one of those two incidents with the drink driving?
No, I can't remember off the top of my head.
In a general sense,
obviously not happy, arguing, what are you going to do, what's happening? I mean, it was quite stressful, very stressful. Yeah, it was. I can't remember exact conversations, but they were obviously not good. But once again, look, we'll get through it. It'll be okay. I'll handle it.
And you were still working, and
most certainly,
and getting to work by.
Oh well, at that stage, the first time I got caught was I lost the car.
Yeah.
And obviously, subsequently lost the employment because I needed the car for representing that company. So unfortunately, that happened, and I couldn't do anything about it. So obviously, the what was it? STA?
The
Metro.
The mode of transport was a bus.
Yes.
I can tell you that's exactly what happened to me.
Very good service. Take my hat off to them. Very good service.
Yeah, very true.
On time, they're brilliant.
Yeah. It's it's an interesting way to get around when you're not used to it. That's for sure.
Most certainly.
But you also biked it.
Yep, certainly. Rode to work. Yep, rode to work. Got attacked by magpies on several occasions. Going up Golden Grove Road, yes. That kept me fit as well. Yeah. Riding to work, and riding home was a lot easier than getting to work. That's for sure.
And you were still drinking then?
No. There was a period there that I actually was alcohol free for a while.
How long did that last?
Oh, I think that was probably 6 or 7 months, maybe 4.
Did you find that when those issues occurred, losing your licence, that friends and family, and I don't mean this in a disrespectful way, but friends and family to your face were saying it's going to be okay, but you got the feeling there was a lot of talk behind your back?
Most certainly. Yep, he's got some problems. I don't think it was certainly I would assume it was discussed that there was some issues, and that happens if you're at family functions or parties and you're looking at someone's behaviour, and if you've had too many to drink and you're talking a lot of rubbish and getting carried away or getting involved in an argument or something, and normally 99.9% of the time it was because of the drinking, and the drinking would fuel the argument, and your behaviour and the way you reacted were not normal and not the way you should normally react. So,
how bad did it get?
Well, in the end, I ended up leaving home.
You left home?
Yeah, it was my wife gave me some instructions and said that maybe it's better time. So I did move in with this is on the final time, but the final time was I moved into my brother's house for a week or so, and I just thought I was being a bit of a burden. Them have to look after me and feed me.
Did that stop you drinking?
No, I was still drinking then.
No, that's interesting.
Yeah. Then I made a decision that they came back from being on holidays, and I just got the gist. I just got the feel that I was just in their way. and decided, well, that's it. So I got my little bag and T-shirt and shorts and headed into town and just rang one of the Lifeline or Anglicare or something like that. And
right?
And I needed a place to stay, so I went and stayed in Whitmore Square, which is the, I think it's Anglicare or Uniting.
I think so, yeah.
There's a men's shelter there,
yeah,
on Weymouth Street. So I moved in there for around about maybe 2 weeks or 3 weeks. I think that was $10 a night.
Still drinking?
Yeah, still drinking.
Still drinking, yeah.
Well, that house was full of homeless.
Yep. Well, effectively you were too.
Yeah, I was homeless. I didn't want to be a burden to anybody.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be a burden to my wife. I didn't want to be a burden to my family. I didn't want to dump them with my issues.
Yep.
And so I thought, I'm going to handle this myself. I'm going to go into town. I'm going to see what I can do there. There's a place for me to stay. So that 2 weeks, 10 days, whatever it was, 3 weeks or whatever time, I was not so much a vagrant, but would go to the market and, grab something to eat and then go to the hotel and drink.
What year was that? Approximately
2013.
2013.
Yeah, it would have been January of 2013.
And yet in 1984 you were a hero for Norwood.
Yeah.
Wow.
So those 2 or 3 weeks were not the best, but I think looking back at that now, it's what I needed, because you'll find that people say, it's the lowest I've ever felt.
Yep.
Your self-esteem is down. You think you've hit rock bottom when you've hit the bottom of the house. That's it. But I'd hit the cellar. I was under that.
Yeah.
So I'd gone deeper than that, and thank God for my loving family.
Which a lot of others that you were living with didn't have.
Yep, didn't have.
Of course.
Yep.
Yeah.
Came to the rescue, and a few weeks after I'd stayed there, and thought we need to do something, and I went to rehab in 2013 in February. Can
you remember the meeting you had with them, or the
Well, it wasn't such a meeting. It was, David, we're coming to pick you up.
Yeah.
We've made a reservation for you at Narracourt, and you're going to Caribbean Rehabilitation Centre. And are you happy with that? I said, yep.
So they at least gave you a choice in the sense of, are you happy with this? Are you willing to do it? I guess that's what they were really saying.
They were saying, look,
it has to be you.
Yeah, it has to be me making the decision. But in the end, because you had very low self-esteem at the time, you were lonely, it was a really devastating time for me. But looking back at it, that's what I needed. I needed to be down that low.
Yeah.
That for me to regain my sanity and any self-respect for myself, I needed to get myself right. And my family was fantastic. My brother John and my sister Lynette were obviously the two leaders, and the communication within the family was very, very good at the time. And he came, and I went back to my sister's place, and he picked me up 2 days later and drove me down to Narracourt. Do
you class yourself as a recovering alcoholic, an alcoholic, or a recovered alcoholic?
I'd say recovered alcoholic.
So David Payne is my guest. He is a recovered alcoholic, and we're going to take a short break, and we'll be back in just a sec. The Hayter Clinic, a private hospital, residential rehabilitation and fully licensed acute detox unit. The Hayter Clinic offers short and long-term programs and is fully accredited with the Department of Health. The Hayter Clinic is based in Victoria with facilities in Geelong and Essendon. For more details and to talk with a Hayter Clinic representative, call 1800 883 388 or email rayhayterclinic.com.au. The Hayter Clinic, the gold standard for treatment. So when this opportunity arose, from your family, your loving family who really cared about you.
Yep. And my wife was involved in that as well. She would have had communication with my family and thinking, yes, let's get David some help. And so she was very, very supportive.
Which is a wonderful, wonderful thing. What were your, and again, I know it's a while back, but what were your thoughts? Were you thinking, and I know you said that, you know, you were at your lowest when you were staying in Whitmore Square.
Yep.
But what were your thoughts then? Were they, was there a sense of relief, or was it the other way? Was it, my God, it has come to this?
No, it was relief, most certainly. I remember the day that I got picked up. I remember the drive. I remember my first encounter with driving up the driveway and finding the place. And yes, I remember, it's so vivid in my imagination. Yes, I can remember everything about it. And it was just a relief for me, yeah.
Were you, within those discussions, were you apologetic to everyone?
Not at the stage.
No.
Not at that stage.
No, you were going along for the ride.
I was
basically.
going, yep, let's give this a go.
Yeah.
If this is going to help me, I'll. If you think that's what I need to do, guys, I'm happy to go along with it, and I'll give it a try.
Now, you just said twice then, I'll give this a go, I'll give it a try. Did you think that this was a genuine opportunity to get back on track, or did you think it was just one of a number of things that you'd tried in the past that might work, might not work?
The second option.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know whether that was going to work. So you're entering the unknown. I didn't know what rehab was all about. How am I going to know it's going to work? I don't know anyone that's been into rehab and recovered. Never been in that situation. So obviously I was open to anything that would get me on the right track.
Yeah, and that's how it happened with me as well. It was almost like, this is the last bastion. This is all that's left. That's how I felt.
Yeah.
Can you remember your wife and your kids coming in to visit you?
Most certainly.
And how did you feel about that?
Well, after being sober, once you get there, they put quite a few restrictions on you for a start.
Yeah.
So communication is low. First couple of weeks, I think you only have one phone call, so they keep you in isolation.
Yep.
The first couple of weeks are pretty hard. You know, you're taking tablets to release your anxiety.
Yeah, you're staying sober.
Sober as a judge,
obviously,
and you know you're having trouble sleeping, so you're given tablets to help you sleep. Really a tremendous experience, because going there and meeting an elder who'd been there, 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
I stayed with him in his unit, and he was like a little bit of a guide for me, and he was tremendous.
In what way?
Just being a senior, been there, done it, been an alcoholic for many, many years.
Give me an example of something that he might have said to you that you thought, wow, that's prolific.
I'm not sure that there was a lot of things spoken about. I think just being in his presence, I think that was very beneficial to me.
Because he understood.
Because he'd been there.
And he wasn't judging.
He wasn't judging.
He wasn't talking behind
He knows what you're going through. He knows the family experience. And I think because he was accepting, he knows where you are, because I think you find the gentleman I'm talking about was probably 20 years my elder, 25 years my elder.
Yep.
And he'd been there, done that, and was a great help for a short period of time before he there. So those days I remember vividly. Yeah.
So your kids come in.
My kids came in, and my wife, and then I had some good friends, Rob and Teresa. They came down and saw me. I think once or twice. I had one of my really close friends, James Fantasia, who was part of the Hawthorn and Western Bulldogs.
Yep.
Football, he called in one day on the way back from Melbourne, had a chat and showed him around and said how I was going, and he said, it was fantastic. So we did have some visitors. And once you're allowed your phone calls, you communicate by phone.
Yes.
Every now and again, but the main form of communication was by letter.
Yeah.
So you would write letters, to your sisters, brothers.
So when your kids came in, what sort of things did they ask you?
Hug, Dad, how you going?
Yeah.
How's everything going? You all good? Yeah, well, oh, nice little place here you got. Whatever. Yeah, so they were very appreciative. They could see that I was well.
And very understanding by the sounds of it.
The kids have been amazing.
Yeah.
Truly amazing through that, that haunting period there. And nowadays I'm just so very proud of them all, yeah.
Were there, just harking back for a second, are there times now, David, where you think to yourself, and I know you can't change this, I understand that, but you think to yourself, I could have been there
most certainly
for my kids more,
most
or
certainly.
one of them in particular?
Most certainly, yep. That's without a doubt. You think you would like to have been there at certain occasions, or, yeah, for sure,
and
plenty of times.
And how do you handle that? Like when that thought, and obviously that thought's come into your mind now because I've asked you the question.
Yeah, of course it has.
But how do you handle that? Because as we were saying when we were having a coffee downstairs, there's nothing you can do about it now. Well, there is, because obviously you can spend more time with them and you can be more of a father and love them more and all that sort of stuff, or love them.
Yep.
But you can't change what's happened in the past. So how do you deal with that shame which we all go through, whether it be alcohol, drugs, gambling, sex, whatever it might be? How do you handle that shame?
Yeah, I don't handle it every day like I probably used to. And then because I don't drink anymore, I'm able to handle those situations. I've been forgiven by my family and in general friends, and so I accept that.
Yep.
I now can't live in the past. I have to live every day,
and that's important.
Going forward.
That's important, isn't it?
Very important.
Yeah.
And just grab every opportunity you can to be helpful to your children,
to
your wife, to your family, to your friends, to your work colleagues, and just be grateful
to strangers.
To anybody. Just to be, it's nothing to be kind to everyone. But I think it's I can't look back. I can only go forward. So if once I've apologised and I've apologised. I can't do anything about the past.
No.
So I can only go forward to the future. So I'm there for my children and my wife every day, and I will handle everything that comes across my plate so much better than what I would of 10 years ago.
We had a great chat downstairs. I've been clean now for 7 months, and what is it today? It's October. October 2019. So I've been clean for almost 7 months. I was opening up with you downstairs, just suggesting that I've had a bit of a tough time the last couple of weeks, and you very kindly sent some text messages through when I was in rehab and when I just came out of rehab. I felt really high. I felt really confident when I came out of rehab, and that lasted for about 4 or 5 months. And as I say, for the last month or two, things have changed a bit for me. But you have some great intel on that. You understand, don't you, that because you've been clean now for...
I can't remember the last time I had a drink, so...
Okay. So you warned me in a way, indirectly, when you sent me those very kind text messages a number of months ago, to understand that it's still going to take time. It's still going to take time. This is not going to fix it for anyone after a month, 2, 3, 6 months. No. It takes longer than that, doesn't it?
Of course it does.
Can you just elaborate on that?
I think you'll find, we were all taught that when we were in rehab. We had a fantastic Pastor Dean who was a farmer from the West Coast who came over, and he was a fantastic man. He was a great fella. He loved his footy, and he often said, that look, this is not going to happen overnight. This is a daily process that you have to go to, and it's not going to happen overnight. So there are situations that you need to avoid.
Yeah. And
you have to do them either whether you like it or, whether you want to do it or but you have to do it. There are certain issues
to stay clean.
Yeah. And I did say to you downstairs there's a one word, it's called control.
Yep.
And you have to have that self-control.
Yeah.
You can't waver from that. and I've seemed to manage that quite well of recent times. And I think that's a key is the control. I think but we live in a society that has thousands of choices. We have choices every day.
We're very lucky.
And which one we pick is where we're going to go, isn't it? You know, if we walk past that hotel, we go, "Oh, gee whiz, I can just I could slip a beer here."
Well, I did suggest, didn't I, that we do the interview at the Arkaba, and you thought, no, probably not a great idea.
Probably not a great idea. No, that's fine.
Actually, I didn't suggest that, and
I
know that.
I know you didn't, but I can quite happily walk into a hotel. I work in one.
Yeah.
I work around alcohol and gambling every day.
See, that's fantastic.
So
that is brilliant.
The opposite effect.
So strong.
Yeah, that I have to be to do that, and that is it's not a challenge for me anymore. It's my ritual virtually.
Yeah.
I stick to my guidelines, and that's it. And I enjoy working for the North Footy Club. Love it.
How long did it take you to get comfortable and confident in your own skin that you were starting to get on top of this? Because I thought I was on top of it initially after 2 or 3 months. I told you, and then all of a sudden things fell apart a bit.
Yeah, as I said earlier, that the pastor Dean said that it's not going to happen overnight.
No.
You're going to fall over a couple of times.
You're talking a couple of years?
Yeah, it took a couple of years.
Yeah, okay.
Sure. You're going to fall over a couple of times,
and that's really key information.
But you need to know. You need to know that. Okay, right. I've fallen over. I've made a mistake. I've got to go again.
Yeah.
I've got to start again.
Yeah.
We all make mistakes. We're all human,
and we will continue.
And we will continue to make mistakes.
Yeah.
But it's how you handle those mistakes and how you deal with them is the important factor.
Yeah.
I think. I think with alcohol, most probably with drugs and a various range of other illicit things that are around on the marketplace or wherever. Once you are in that realm, there's so many things. You lie.
Yeah.
You're deceitful.
Yep.
You're untrusting.
Yep. You're doing dangerous things.
You're doing dangerous things.
Yeah.
You're taking risks.
Making poor choices.
You're making poor choices.
Yep.
Going back to that word, choices again.
Yep.
So you're making poor decisions, poor choices. So once you are sober and you begin to change all that, and you begin to make better decisions, think more clearly, make better choices. And I think that's the key. I think that is the real key. Because I did find that if I was on a binge and I had the phone there, I'd communicate with people, and I couldn't even remember the next day what stuff I'd sent people or spoken about. Or people would say, "Geez, you said that last night." I'd say, "Oh my,
did I really?
Did I really?
Did I ring you?"
Then all of a sudden, a cold sweat would come upon you and say, "Oh my God!" And so they're the type of things you would do, and just really be an idiot.
Yeah. Poor choice.
But poor choice.
A couple of quickies.
Yeah.
Do you feel as though you're lucky to be alive with what you've been through?
Most certainly.
If Mum and Dad were here now?
They'd be so proud of me.
And what would you tell them? What would you say to them?
I love you. Probably would be the first thing. I probably wouldn't need to say much to my father or my mother, because they would see that I'll be a different person. So, certainly they'd be very proud of me. But what would I say to them? Yeah, I love them, and thanks for everything, obviously, because they brought me up.
And if your wife, and I'm so in awe of, I've never met your wife, I'm so in awe of your wife and your kids for supporting you all the way through. But if they were sitting here now, what would you say to them as a collective?
I would apologise once again and say I'm sorry that I wasn't there at certain times, and I'm deeply remorseful for my behaviour over those years.
Yeah,
I can't say any more than that. But the good thing is I do have that intact. I do communicate with my children most days. I still have a tremendous relationship with all my kids, and I love my wife dearly. So I don't think there's not more much I can want.
Yeah.
My relationship with my close friends is strong.
Yep.
And there's obviously one of our special friends that you know and that I know, Adam. He's noticed a huge change in me in the last 6 years.
Yeah.
And says I'm a lot better person. You're not better to talk to. I haven't changed. I'm just being the real me.
Yeah.
So
that's a really good way of putting it.
I'm just being the real me.
That's a really good way of putting it.
Where alcohol seems to shadow your real self.
We're not bad people.
We are not bad people.
We're not bad people.
Yep. Yeah, you're exactly right.
Yeah, and I guess with everything that you have been through and that I've been through and that many, many others listening have been through.
I find that I do get a little bit more emotional about things nowadays.
Yeah.
When you feel that let me say that if you're dealt a bad card in any way, in regards to whatever that may be,
yep.
And if you're trying your damnedest to do the best and you're still getting put down, that's when it can be a little bit difficult.
Yeah.
So you need to be resilient and you need to just still stay positive and be very positive about your approach to everything and still be the real you. Because as I've said to some people, I like me now.
Yeah.
I enjoy being around me now. And people that are close to me enjoy being around me now.
Yeah.
Whereas previous, they were not probably proud to be around me.
And we probably weren't proud to be around ourselves.
And then they wouldn't tell you that they didn't like you then.
Yeah, which we discussed earlier.
Okay, so this all comes out of the woodwork after. It doesn't come out. It doesn't come out at the time. People will tell you, that's disgraceful behaviour or that's not acceptable, and you go, oh yeah, that's fine. I'll be right. The old Aussie saying, I'll be right, Jack. No worries.
I know.
Everything will be right.
I was going to say just prior, for all that we've been through and for all that others have been through, if you can get to where you've got to and to a lesser degree get to where I've got to, we're actually blessed. We're actually blessed. I mean, it sounds weird with the hurt that we've, inflicted on other people and on ourselves and stuff, but we're actually blessed, which is a weird way of looking at it, but it becomes clearer and clearer as you get weller and weller.
I would totally agree.
Yeah.
You totally agree that it is a genuine gift, I think, that someone's served you up.
Yeah.
And as I just said to you prior, that, I'm at a stage now where I'm proud of myself. I'm happy with who I am.
Yeah.
And I think you'll find that my family and friends and hopefully my colleagues
feel the same.
Yeah. But obviously not everybody knows what I've been through.
Yeah.
So
well, they probably do now.
They might now.
But we're going to broadcast this.
Oh, that's right. That's why we're doing it here.
Did I tell you that, David?
Yeah, okay.
I may have left that out.
Yeah, you might have. Yes,
David. Probably just as importantly is where you're heading into the future. Because how old are you?
I'm 54.
54. So you've got so much life left in you, and like some of us, not all of us, because a lot of us don't go public on this, but like a lot of us, we do want to help others, and we genuinely want to help others, and you want to do that, don't
Most
you?
Certainly.
Yeah.
I think that there's a vacuum there that hasn't quite been filled.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think there's a certain secrecy around protecting people's their problems.
Yeah,
I think we disguise.
Yeah, we do.
With that, they're disguised and they're pushed aside.
Yeah,
and it takes real courage in one way or another to admit that you may have an issue.
Yeah,
it takes real courage to, and I think I'll come back, but I'll say that we are very prideful people, men and women. We're very prideful. And I think we don't want to be embarrassed.
No, or seem to be weak.
Seem to be weak.
I agree.
And seem to.
I agree.
So I think you have to overcome those difficulties
Yeah.
and really analyse yourself.
Yeah.
And if you have an issue, then you need to probably look at it and address it. Don't dismiss it, as I did, and possibly
Absolutely.
you may have dismissed it.
Absolutely.
And said, I haven't got a problem. And I think the earlier the detection, the better for everyone.
Yeah.
And then there is a want that you need. If you want to get better and feel better, you have to make that decision yourself.
Yeah, you do.
If you have 10 people around you telling you that you need help and you don't want the help,
Yeah.
they're banging their heads against the wall.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you want to make a change in your life and you don't know how to make that change in your life, then you need to seek some sort of help in some regard.
Reach out.
Reach out, find the right person to talk to. They can give you some direction, and let's hopefully, you can be on the path to recovery.
And not only are you on that path and well onto that path to recovery, but you'd like to help others, you'd like to help young kids, you'd like to help
Most
people,
certainly.
whether they be male, female, whether they're young, whether they're in the twilight of their years.
Most certainly.
That's something you'd like to do.
I've already come across a couple of people that have asked for some help, and I'm still waiting on a response, because I think there's a certain amount of, as I said, pride, and there's an embarrassment, and we don't want to admit that we've got an issue, and gee, I don't want to talk about it, and it'll work itself out. I think there's that's a lot of people face, but you actually really have to analyse yourself, and look at that person in the mirror and say, hey, have I got a problem? Do I want to fix it? Yeah, it's up to the individual to make that decision, really, if they want to get better. I think that's a really important point, is being open and not embarrassed, and come forward and just really express your feelings, because you really can't harbour those. If you're harbouring certain things inside, that could be affecting you in some way or
Absolutely.
another.
I thank you.
You're welcome.
And you played pretty well in that 84 grand final.
I tried hard. we all tried hard. I think you'll find that we
tried
we
hard.
we never
What did Barnaby say after the game? Oh, David, you didn't try hard
didn't
enough.
try hard enough. I think you'll find that every time you slipped on the footy boot, or you do up the tie to go to work, or
do whatever you do.
You try your best, and I think that's the only way you can get results, is just trying your best. And look, sometimes it ain't going to work out.
Well, it's worked out for you.
Thank you, Mark.
David Payne, thank you.
If you need immediate and effective help with addiction or mental health, the Hayter Clinic is there for you.